Sometimes the brain is connected in such a way it affects the senses and how we perceive and read situations and interactions. This is known as autism. Many people have autism, so it's likely you already know someone who is autistic. And for this reason, it's useful to know a little bit about autism. The special wiring inside an autistic brain can sometimes make the person good at tasks we may find difficult, such as mathematics, drawing, or music. It can also do the opposite, and activities we find too easy are incredibly difficult to them, such as making friends. The senses constantly send information to your brain about your surroundings and other people. However, when a person's brain and its senses don't communicate well, the brain can become overwhelmed and confused, affecting how they see the world. Picture yourself walking down the street. This is how an autistic brain may experience the same walk. Scary, isn't it? Sadly, in many cases, the person can't say out loud how they feel. So even though there's chaos going on in their heads, they seem okay on the outside, unable to ask for help. We will develop behaviors to help us feel calm in uncomfortable situations. We may look away, hug ourselves, chew our fingernails, fidget, bite our lips, and so on. Equally, autistic people develop behaviors that help them cope with these intense moments. These actions may seem unusual, but they're just their way to feel calm. When they happen, it means they are having a hard time. The kind thing to do is not to give them an even harder time by getting cross, ignoring them, or mocking them. Remember, just because a PlayStation can't read an Xbox game, it doesn't mean it's broken. People with autism need friends who are willing to take the time to know them. With good communication and plenty of patience, everyone would be better off. People with autism are not ill or broken. They simply have a unique view of the world. And with a little support from their friends, they might just be able to share that view with us. Autism can make amazing things happen.
Okay, so that video, what do we think? Good video? Right? Okay. All right, y'all. All right, yes, make some noise. Okay, so this video is very powerful because, yes, it does make some points. It tells us that just because a person may process things differently, it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with them, right? They have an interesting perspective on things that we have no idea of in many cases. So that's one of the super strengths to being on the autism spectrum. So one of the things that is sometimes discussed is the causes, or how is autism caused? What brings it about? Is there something that happened to me that, like, I have autism, or my child? Well, the reality is there is really no exact cause of autism. The cause of autism remains unknown, but research does suggest that both genetics and environmental factors play a role in development. So we have genetic factors, we have environmental factors, and we have brain development as all possible factors. There are lots of different ideas about how a person gets autism, but many of those ideas have not been proven. And there really is no solid cure that we can point the finger to other than these things that have been discussed. So it is very common in some cases that if you have autism, or if someone in your family has it, it can be a genetic issue, meaning there may have been someone else in the family that is also on the spectrum a sibling or it could be a grandparent or something in the family. Early diagnosis and intervention. So it's not always easy to know if your child has a disability like autism. Sometimes the parents are the last to realize that something significant is happening to their child because they either don't understand that what they're experiencing isn't normal, or they are in denial and don't know what to do if something is wrong. One simple way to know if your child is developing normally or not is by examining their developmental milestones. When we take our babies and toddlers to the pediatrician, we fill out a development assessment. This is done so developmental delays and abnormalities can be identified quickly and treated. We call this early intervention. Early intervention helps children with autism overcome the challenges that they experience and helps them to become more and more independent as they grow. It can be devastating as a parent to learn that your child has autism. No parent wants their child to suffer or be unable to take care of themselves as an adult. As a church, we can support parents, families, and individuals with autism by understanding what they are going through and being there for them as much as we can. So I was speaking about this with someone earlier today. One of the greatest things we have in the Lord's church is support to one another. Also, if you know someone that has autism in their family, it's a great opportunity to connect with them, and you can be a source of encouragement for them and they for you as well. And you can hold each other up. It's a very powerful thing. My son is involved in a program where the families get together and they do support each other. And I've seen how, wow, when we're going through it, it's just like when you're going through a tough time in life and someone else is going through that with you, they are able to empathize with you and they're able to offer encouragement. And sometimes we even may have a moment where we laugh together or cry together. So support from one another in the Lord's church is excellent, especially for parents and for the kids as well. So, I'm sorry, I got choked up for a second. Okay, common causes. Autism is usually diagnosed in early childhood, and signs of autism typically appear by age 2 or 3. While there is no cure for autism, there are several effective interventions that can improve a child's functioning, such as applied behavioral analysis and social skills training. Autism is not an illness or disease, but a different way in which the brain works. And it's believed to be influenced by a combination of genetic and environmental factors. It's important to note that some autistic people need little or no support, while others may require help from a parent or a caregiver every day. And there again is that spectrum. You might have a person that needs assistance with maybe using the bathroom, communication verbally, where you may have another person that doesn't really require any of that except for a little bit of social guidance. You shouldn't talk to somebody that way, kind of thing. So it is because of the fact that it's a range. It's a spectrum disorder. Mommy's going to come out on you.
Okay, I just want to say something. Right.
Sure.
I'm sorry, we're supposed to take turns, and I'm slacking. Don't go far. Okay, so some of the ways in which it is evident that a person has autism is if they demonstrate certain behaviors in these 3 to 4 categories that you see on the screen. So when you are bringing your child, or as an adult, yourself getting diagnosed, these are some of the patterns of behavior that will be recognizable to a professional that says, yes, you have autism. So the first thing would be social challenges. Difficulty understanding social cues, maintaining eye contact, building relationships. That's a very important indicator. And sometimes people will say, my child is just shy, and they could be, but that's a big a sign that there might be more. Another area is difficulty with communication, trouble with verbal or nonverbal communication, including delayed speech or lacking speech. And for example, our son, his initial language was repeating, which is called echolalia. He spoke by repeating phrases and sentences of things that he heard, but they communicated his feelings and intentions. The third category is repetitive behaviors, engaging in repeated movements, routines, or interests, which we sometimes call passions. All of us have these things, but when they are, I guess you say, a hallmark or a main way in which your child is behaving, that is an indicator that they may have autism. And sometimes you might see some self-stimulating behaviors. We call it stimming. Things like hand flapping, flicking by the eye. My son loves to shake an object in his hand. These are behaviors that we all do. Like you might tap your leg, you might shake your foot, you might pick your fingernail or twirl a piece of hair. Those are stims, and for people with autism, they might just do something in a more unusual way that to us. One of the last categories is having sensory challenges, and that's having trouble with most of the senses of your body. They can be sight issues, like things being too bright, sound issues, something being too loud. You've noticed your child covers their ears, that's a sign that they're having some sensory issues. Having a strong or dull sense of smell, being very sensitive to scents and colognes and smells. Sensitive to touch, either wanting a lot of touch or rejecting it because it's too uncomfortable. Taste, if your child has sensitivities with eating certain textures of foods or they don't tolerate certain foods, that's definitely an indication of a sensory challenge. And movement, being able to do coordinate. So if you notice your child is clumsy, that might be a lack of coordination that may be due to sensory issues relating to autism. So like for example, tying of shoes or writing, handwriting difficulty. Doing certain activities, dancing or riding a bike where you need to move the top of your body and the bottom part of your body in different directions. And if that's difficult, that could be an indication of autism. And these are just kind of the rudimentary, the basic things that doctors and clinicians use when you suspect that something may be going on and you want to know if it's a neurological developmental issue or not. And these things are also things that if they maintain after your child is 8, it's most likely autism. All children behave in these similar ways, and some of them may progress out of it, but about the age of 8, if these behaviors are still being demonstrated, then that's most likely going to lead to a diagnosis, which is a very good thing. Okay, so you did early intervention already?
Yeah, go back.
Okay, I can go back? Okay, wait. I'm sorry, I wasn't here, so I missed my my part. Okay, hold on one second. Let me just go back. I want to mention a couple of things about early intervention. And I think you read it, right, Erin? Okay. So one of the reasons why a diagnosis is so important is because children's brains are developing at a rapid rate, and even if these behaviors are being recognized, you can intervene or cut in on it and help train the brain to maintain these behaviors and learn additional behaviors. So we want to expand the capabilities of our children. And so having a diagnosis isn't giving your child a label. It isn't assigning your child to being outside of a normal group. It is the main way that you help your child be a member of the community. They need the support, just like I need glasses to see. Someone might need a hearing aid or a mobile device like a wheelchair walker. There are things that in the autistic community that we need in order to participate fully, and those things are really helpful to belong and be included. So as a parent, even though it might be difficult to get a diagnosis or to even have your child be evaluated, the sooner you do it, the better. the younger the child, the more support that's given earlier, the more likely they'll be able to become independent, which is what all parents want for every child. So having those behaviors examined, even if it's not autism, it's still a good thing to look at. When you take your baby to the pediatrician, you do the milestones, evaluations, and assessments at every stage of growth, right? And if parents, you go, they'll ask, is your baby, looking, turning their head? Can they crawl? Are they able to pick up little things like raisins or Cheerios? These behaviors are actual important indicators of how the brain is developing, how the body and brain are talking to each other, how the gut, the stomach, and the brain are talking to each other. And so although you might say, oh, it's not a big deal, it's just better to err on the safe side and make sure that when you're going to the doctor and you're doing those assessments, if they're not meeting the assessment, and I think we got a clear indication when he stopped meeting half of the milestones. By the time he was before 2 or 3, Asa was missing about 50% of his age milestones. And the doctor was like, it could or could not, but we said, no, we want to see if this is important. So he encouraged us to have him evaluated and assessed. So I just want to speak to all the parents and the mothers, especially. It's okay, even if you're wrong, to just have it be examined anyway, because with autism in particular, the sooner you understand what's going on with the brain, the better outcome your child has. So stalling or delaying isn't beneficial when it comes to this condition, right? And so some of these behaviors, which are typical of all children, may or may not be anything, but it's better to be on the safe side and to know. And so some other things can also accompany autism. They usually say comorbid, which is a negative way of describing it, but a lot of people that have autism also have, one of the biggest conditions is ADHD. A lot of us have both, which is quite fun. Okay, so if you notice your child has anxiety or a lot of tummy issues, gut issues, having difficulty going to the bathroom, eating food and getting a really bad reaction like gas and bloating, or not wanting to eat certain things because of tummy issues. Gut issues and gastrological issues are sometimes connected with things like autism. Sleeping. My child is not a great sleeper. A lot of people have issues with sleeping, but people with autism can sometimes have really big issues with sleeping. So if your child is a difficult sleeper, it could be an indicator that they also have other conditions. People with autism can also have OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, which is a way of coping with autism. Some of the sensations and stimuli are overwhelming, and one of the ways that the brain helps the person to live is by having certain routinized and repetitive behaviors to make sense of the world. I know my son, he has a lot of rigid patterns of behavior that help him to function. This is a normal part of autism. Do you have to have OCD and autism together? No, but a lot of people that have autism also have OCD. Sensory issues, we talked about, vision issues, hearing issues, textures. If you put your baby down at the beach and they hate the sand, that's an indicator that might be a sensory issue. They won't touch grass. It's too uncomfortable. With our son, whenever it rained in the car and the rain would hit the car, the sound would make him scream. And the windshield wipers rubbing the glass, that sound, he would just go into screaming fits. So we knew that his hearing was being affected. So sensory issues can also be another way of indicating autism. Do you have to have autism and these things? No, but a lot of people that have autism also have these things. We know about epilepsy, having seizures could be a part of it. So just so you know, those are things that you might also be noticing, that might be an experience. Okay. What is that? That sound. Yeah, I don't know what the sound that is, Pat. I'm sorry. Okay, there you go. Yeah, sorry. I just want to make sure because, we all have sensory. A lot of autistics in this room. We all have sensory issues. Starting to spaz out myself. Okay. You want me to keep going? Okay. I was going to do behavior and social interaction. Keep going? Okay. I'll keep going. Okay. So when it comes to recognizing autism in other people, it's a very tricky thing. There's a popular quote that says, if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. This just means that autistic people, although they have common struggles, how they struggle with each of these areas can vary from person to person. So the picture that you see, one of them looks like a rainbow, a line, and then the other one is a circle rainbow. The colors represent all the different areas that a person with autism may struggle. Like one may be language, one might be sensory issues, one might be fine motor skills, right? And so if you notice, the colors go from dark to light to represent the level in which you might struggle. So one person with autism has full language capability, but might be sensitive to sound and food. Another person could have no language capability and have a complete tolerance for different sensations. So each person has their own little special salad mix of how these deficits might affect them. And so they have common struggles, but how they struggle is very unique person to person. So you might look at your person and say, well, my child doesn't behave that way. And that's okay, because it's very individualized as an experience. And so there's a lot of variance. I think Aaron mentioned some people need a lot of support. Some people need no support, or not a lot. Everybody needs support. I'll say that, but the level of support may vary from person to person. And so just keep that in mind as you are learning about how different people present their autism. It is like a fingerprint, a very unique experience for each person, even though they have a lot of things in common. Okay, so autism and behavior. Now this is usually the way that as parents, that we know that something is going on with our child. And so as a member of the congregation, this is also the main way that people experience autism in the community or in the congregation. And we want to bring light to it so that you're not disturbed or afraid or confused about some of the behaviors. So what are some autistic behaviors? Avoiding eye contact, sometimes preferring to be alone, struggling with understanding other people's feelings, being nonverbal, repeating words and phrases, which is echolalia, becoming upset by changes in routine or surroundings, possessing highly restricted interests, meaning it's something that one thing you know it inside out. You love this topic, you could talk about it all day. It is a passion or a special interest, but that's like your thing. It's really hard because I'm like, doesn't everybody have that? But apparently not. Everybody doesn't have these special interests or passions. So like if your child is like a dinosaur expert at like 4, there's a good indication that this is an autistic behavior. Or they like to collect things, like not just the average coin collection, but like they collect everything. They know about cars inside out. We have a lot of collections. We have a lot of special expertise and knowledge because this is how we demonstrate our autistic tendencies. So having highly restricted interests, performing repetitive behaviors such as flapping, rocking, or spinning, possessing unusual and often intense reactions to sound, smells, tastes, textures, lights, colors. Some people can hear colors. Now, if you know, it makes sense. But if you don't know, you might be like, huh? It's an interesting gift that autistics have, these sensory things. So some people can actually hear colors. Ask me later. Okay, autism creates an internal world that is very different from the world that we on the outside may be experiencing. The ways in which the brain interprets the world can sometimes overwhelm an autistic person, causing them to behave in these unusual ways. But these behaviors are understandable responses to what the autistic person is experiencing on the inside. We would behave in a very similar way if we were going through the same things that they are going through. So to give you an idea of what it's like to have autism, we're going to be doing a VR simulation from the point of view of an autistic child, and we already have our volunteers who are going to come here after we're done with this part, and they're going to put on the headset, and we're going to ask that everybody comes into the sanctuary. So when we get to the VR simulation part, Zulemi and Charlie, I'm going to ask that everybody in the fellowship hall in the Spanish ministry comes to the sanctuary. And Marie, if you and Chantel can come into this room also so that you can see the cast of the VR goggles. That's when we're going to do that part. Okay. Now, one of the main things that autism affects is social interaction. And in the church, that's the main thing we do is we communicate, we connect. It's so important to our connection as people, as brethren, that we can interact socially. And ironically, autism has the biggest impact on social interaction. And I just wanted to bring this up because if you're not paying attention, it's really easy to make a lot of judgments and assumptions about an autistic person, right? And then also as a family, if you have an autistic member of the family, especially a child, having a child with a special need, in particular autism, it can be very isolating for families and exhausting because of the challenges that come along with it. And a lot of times families won't attend church because they are concerned about unwanted, unexpected behavior. Autism can make forming relationships with people challenging due to the deficits in social interaction and communication caused by the condition. The biggest impact that autism has is on individuals and their families being isolated. Even in the midst of the saints, autistic people can sometimes feel invisible because sometimes they're avoided or rejected or excluded simply because most people don't understand the condition and don't know the best way to interact with them. Sometimes autistic people pull away from others because they may be having difficulty tolerating the sensory world, the setting that they're in. However, most of the time, they stay to themselves because they know that their condition makes it difficult for other people to get to know them. So as parents, these are challenges also for us. We may avoid worship or be fearful of worship because we're afraid our autistic child is going to have a meltdown or have some sensory processing difficulties. We might have to constantly leave to take them out of the space, like going to the nursery or going to the car, which leads a lot of isolation. So sometimes when families come, they might not be able to fully participate in worship because they have to attend to their loved one. Sometimes they're helping their child and they have to miss class, or they miss out on adult classes like today, which is why we have childcare today, so that parents can actually have a chance to listen and not be distracted by their loved one. And then, of course, if your child has really severe conditions, needing to change them. I've known of children who are way past the toddler age that need help with toileting and sometimes being diapered. And you need a space where, as an adult, you can assist your older child, your young adult child, or your adult child. And so that makes it uncomfortable. A lot of people may avoid worship because they don't want other people to add to the load of that problem. Parents are sometimes concerned with their children being a distraction, and they will avoid class and Bible class and worship because they worry that people are going to judge them. If your child is disruptive, then you're a bad parent, and they would rather avoid additional burdens. So we have to be mindful of that. Sometimes parents are nervous about their child being overloaded by the environment, and parents struggle with loneliness because their children cannot always do what other children do, right? And if you're a parent, then you know, parties, torture chambers like Chuck E. Cheese, they are living nightmares for me. But a lot of people take their kids to Chuck E. Cheese, and whew, bad place for some of us. Okay, anyway, now we all know that the church isn't a place, but it's a gathering of God's people. So it's our responsibility as a church to try to embrace everyone, and this is why we're doing this. We're doing this workshop so that we can all learn how to be inclusive, all right? So how do we do this? Okay. So one of the things that the Harmony Ministry does is that we are trying to provide support for individuals with autism, like my son Asa, who is giggling. You will get put out, anyway. Or for families that have an autism loved one, and then of course for the greater community. As a person, support for an individual with autism or families, you know, it's really crucial to their development. So a lot of you, after you get your diagnosis, you're going to participate in therapies, and these are really important ways of helping your child grow in communication and behavior. So you might have behavioral speech therapy, social skills training, things that help improve communication and teach social interaction. We need to create inclusive environments at home, at school, at work, and now at church. And this is to make sure that individuals with autism can thrive and reach their full potential no matter where they are. I liken it to two things. We have a deaf ministry because we have people that are deaf in our congregation, and deaf people are going to always need an interpreter, someone who can hear, that can translate what they're hearing into sign language. Autism is very similar. For some people, the support is needed everywhere they go. So many of you might be in a school community and you have all the support. At home needs it, at church needs it, at work may need it also. For autistic people, church services present numerous barriers that can make participating difficult because of the environment. First of all, church services may overwhelm their senses in many ways and to varying degrees. For example, sound. It could be too loud from singing and talking in crowds. So like when we have Devo and there are like 50 to 100 people singing, that might be overwhelming to the ears. Sight, bright lights, too many faces, too much visual stimulation, which is why sometimes people don't give direct eye contact because it could be very painful. Smell, all of us are coming in, we have our different fragrances and colognes, even scents like coffee. For some people who have strong sense of smell, that might overwhelm them. Touch, you can get sensory overload from being hugged. We're a very loving congregation and we are very physical, and some people that overwhelms their system. Or like my son, they might be someone who seeks it, right? He loves to hug. Or if it's crowded, like if people are milling about and you feel like they might bump you, some of us will avoid being in crowded spaces because it overwhelms our sense of touch. So narrow halls, narrow aisles, too many people in a small space, that can be overwhelming. Taste, food and refreshments. Certain things are not palatable. And some things don't even agree with your digestive system. So coming to church, sometimes we have all this food, and it's like these things might not match their palate, might disagree. Some people are gluten sensitive. Some people don't like certain textures. They might seem yucky. And so as a congregation, we're trying to be aware of these things and trying to provide things that no matter who you are, you can come and partake and feel included. It's very important that we are mindful of everyone's needs so that we can support and include them. And that's why we try to offer different things when we have fellowships. And if you talk to people, they'll tell you, I don't eat that. Or I'll bring what I like, or I'm allergic to this. I'll bring my dish, just so that everyone can partake and be included. Okay. Can you do this one? Okay. And then you'll tag me in for the VR. Let me go get it set up.
Okay. Okay. The importance of acceptance and inclusion. First of all,
Harmony Ministry is all about inclusion. We want everyone to be included and to feel accepted. As we had said, it's not a good thing when we see people separated or not included in the church, and it's not a good feel when we see that happening around us in church or out. So autism presents many potential obstacles in a person's life. In fact, autistics may struggle with things that most of us take for granted at church, like attending worship service and interacting with people. Here at the Long Island Church of Christ, we want everyone to feel welcome, including families with autistic children and autistic adults. This is why the Harmony Special Needs Ministry was created. We provide support for people with disabilities, like autism, so that they can feel included and attend church just like everyone else, no matter what the differences may be. We train volunteers on how to support autistic children and adults during Sunday school and worship service. We provide sensory tools like fidget devices, wobble seats, noise-canceling headphones, and modified lessons. We host events that benefit the disabled community so that everyone can attend and enjoy. We hope that members of the Spanish and Haitian ministries will join us in the support that can be provided during your worship service and events. And if anyone is interested, just feel free to let us know. So one of the things that we do is, as we had just stated, accommodations. I'm a special ed teacher. Some of the things that I do at work, we will do here in the building on Sunday so that the kids can be included. Children that have autism can be included in our class in the back. And we have supports in place. For example, if a child is very sensitive to sound, we have noise-canceling headphones and anything that they may need so that they feel included and accepted. I just wanted to point out briefly that we had said earlier some of the signs associated with autism. It's it can be very challenging as a parent if someone displays a behavior and you're not sure why your child may be acting that way. And it could be all those things we discussed, but sometimes think of this, it could be 2 or more things happening at one time. Maybe a sensory overload, maybe it's too much of a particular smell in a room, but then that person may not be able to verbally express this is too strong. So they may exhibit a behavior that's kind of hard to understand. So just keeping that in mind, but we do want to let everyone know that we are a place of inclusion and support in the Harmony Ministry. So we're going to be having a special treat. We're going to have our sister Marin come and join us. And Marin's going to share a brief story about what it's like for her as an autistic child and an adult. While she's doing this, we're going to set up the VR headset and that demonstration, okay? So Marin, please welcome my sister, Marin. That's right, take a bow.
Hey everybody. Oh, okay. All right.
Look at us. Just
Okay. Hi everybody. I'm on the spectrum. I'm autistic, and I've also realized that I have ADHD as well, and it really makes a lot of sense, put together all my behaviors and everything. And I also have CPTSD, which is complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And that's because a lot of that is because of how I was treated as a child. Unfortunately, people were not always so kind to people like me with different ways of thinking. There was especially in the days before the Americans with Disabilities Act, and it was very problematic because even people who you would think would know better, like so-called professionals like therapists, counselors, doctors, etc., still had that ignorance. And I unfortunately underwent a lot of abuse, basically psychological, emotional abuse from these so-called professionals. And apparently there's a term for that. It's called therapeutic abuse. And I'd like to believe that it does not go on to this day, but you never know. But it, unfortunately, because I had significant speech delays and also a lot of cognitive delays as well, the trauma from that unfortunately had a massive impact on my behavior. So not only do I have the regular autistic traits and the ADHD, which, by the way, I learned that when you have both autism and ADHD, apparently the ADHD does not manifest right away. It manifests from a trigger. Well, yeah, I got triggered early on, multiple times. So, yeah. So I have a lot up here cooking, which the fact that I have the ability to stand up here right now and share and be among you, and also I live by myself. I'm in a job that I love, an assisted living place in recreation. And not only that, but I graduated from a mainstream high school, and I graduated from college. I was in the college, I was in a program for people with special needs. It's unfortunately no longer active now, which is kind of surreal because the college itself is no longer around, and it's like, did that actually happen? But then I talked to other people who went through it, and it's like, oh, okay, good. It's not just me. I didn't just dream it all. But it's really miraculous that I'm able to be here now, and it's just really just a testament to everything God has done for me. And I know I am grateful every single day, because let me tell you, before I was in Christ, I was mentally spiraling. I was not in a good place. And I am fully convinced that I would not have lasted long had I not come to Christ when I did. So I am just so immensely grateful, like every day, because I am living a life that not only I could never have dared to dream of, but even the people who worked closely with me, they could not have imagined the kind of life that I have, where I'm just living on my own and just doing my own thing, and I'm happy and stable. And again, that's all because of God. Like, He's everything. And the fact that I've been able to make an impact to other people is incredible. Like, seeing people smile because of me, being able to share with people and have them be encouraged it's amazing to me. Like, and I will never, ever take that for granted, because that is a miracle.
Thank you, Matt.
Miracle. And that's in the immortal words of Porky Pig. That's all, folks.
Thank you, Marin.
Thank you.
Watch your faces.
Thank you, my sister.
Thank you. Thank you.
I asked her to share, because when we had our first autism workshop, our sister Marin was there, our brother John was there, and we were asking each other questions. And, you know, I think as a parent, especially when you have a child and you're not sure of their future, it was just so impactful to us to have Marin and John share because they're professionals, they have full lives. One day, Marin shared with me her experience as a child, which was very similar to my son's experience. And I was like, so you went from, not speaking or having certain behaviors to this magnificent person you see here. It gave me so much hope and helped me to kind of like understand better how to support and parent my child. So I just wanted her to share today for that same reason. So I hope you were encouraged. Okay, so now it's your turn to see what it's like from the eyes of someone with autism. So we have 2 simulations, and we have 2 volunteers, who we're going to have wear the headset. Now, we're going to see and hear what they're seeing and hearing, but they're going to see it and hear it as if they're really in the environment. Okay, so we're going to have, how about Guillaume? You can do the first one. It's 2 minutes. And is it Carol? Karen, the longer one, I want you to do the longer one, okay? So Guillaume, you're gonna do the one with the mall. Okay. And you keep your glasses on, it goes over your eyes.
Try it when they're on. Try to look at the screen. Don't look at.
Well, we'll have him face.
Look at the screen.
Yeah, keep your glasses on. Yeah, it goes over the glasses. And then just orient him, so. Okay? So let's turn him so we can see which way you want him to stand. Yeah. And you're gonna go to the mall with the balloons above to the left. Yeah. Okay, and when you're ready, click. Now you're just gonna stand still, Guillaume. Don't move because you're gonna be the little boy and we're gonna see what it's like for him, but you don't move because you're not really gonna be in the mall. You're really in here with us. Okay, and just stay. And you can put your hands down. And what you're gonna do is you're going to look around. So look up, look down, and try to look for the sounds.
You can turn. You could look up. You could look to the right or to the left. Yeah, I can see Zulemi in there. Yeah, I see me now. Okay. There we go. It's back. There we go.
Just breathe. That's it. Just keep breathing, calming down. Okay. Okay. See, everything's fine now. Yeah? Right. Let's go home.
I'm not naughty. I'm autistic. And I just get too much information.
This is about everyday people in shops, supermarkets, shopping centres, train stations, understanding that if they see someone maybe having a meltdown or behaving a little bit differently, don't judge them, think maybe.
You can click that video link if you want to go to the, okay, just type the party.
This one, right?
The Afro. Next one.
Afro?
Yeah, that one.
Commercial?
The ad, yeah. Okay. Pause. Can you bring it to the, you know, it can start. It can start. Yeah. You hold it. You hold it.
Yeah, we did the first one already, yeah. That was in the mall. Oh, you did see it? Oh, you know what? Okay. Because it played here, but we had a little bit of an interruption. We had like, we were getting the video, but we were getting the room too. But we did see the video. We didn't see the video? Okay. So, we did say for you guys in the Spanish, and for you guys to come in and watch the video.
Oh, you can't see this. Oh, you have to put it back on the Bluetooth.
This right here?
Yeah, we can't hear anything.
Oh, so wait, can you guys?
Are you, Layla? I'm fine. How are you? Loads of peoply people invading my house, expecting me to act like them. Parties are my worst nightmare.
Oh, my headphones! Dad!
Everything sounds everywhere now.
People will think that you don't want to talk to them.
People would be correct.
It's only 108 minutes of your life.
Sounds now mixing together, spilling out, spilling in, all around me. Tangled, tinny tumbleweed.
Layla, can you get some...
Sorry, Layla's brain is processing. Please leave a message after the tone. Bleep!
Oh, darling girl, what are you talking about?
I want to do this for Mum, but I don't know if I can.
Layla, stop tapping your head.
They don't like it, but it helps me feel calm. Here comes the invasion. Outer face smiling. Don't stare. Remember the 5 things.
Darling, are these gluten-free cakes? Do you know?
Don't tap, don't tap. Look at all that food. Touching other food. Would biscuits really be friends with a pasta salad? Maybe this is why I don't fit in. I'm the biscuit, they're the salad. We don't belong on the same plate.
Layla, why aren't you out there with the other young people?
I'm fine here, thanks.
The other young people don't seem to like me very much.
Gosh, your sister really is catching up with you. What's that look for? It's a party.
Am I staring? I've literally no idea what my face is doing. How does everyone else know how to act?
Sorry, she's a bit shy. Have you told her your name?
I wish I could have come in fancy dress. Then I wouldn't have to be here as me.
Yeah, and I take her, you know, but she's on the spectrum.
I didn't realise it affected Vera.
No.
I'm not deaf, no. Or invisible.
You've always been special to me. I don't know why we give people labels. Everyone makes such a fuss these days, don't they? But you're just you. You're unique.
Cut the avalanche! Make it go away. Focus on something. I can do this. Oh no, it's all happening. There's the champagne. I can't move. I'll never get through all of them. Need to keep calm. Remember the exercise. 5 things I can see. 4 things I can touch. 3 things I can hear. Mum! 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 No. I need to get out. 5 things. Remember, can I? 5 things. Touch. I can hear. Remember, I can't hear. See. See.
Okay, darling, come on. Come with me. It's okay. All right, sweetheart, it's okay.
Hey, how you doing? Brought you some cake.
I ruined it, didn't I? I always ruin things.
I think Dad got a bit carried away there. You know what he's like. I don't think he realised how hard it would be for you. But you know what? It's going to get easier for us to help you now that we know.
No more surprises?
It's a deal.
Happy birthday, Mum.
Oh, thank you, darling. You take as long as you need.
At least Mum gets it. I wish it could be easier, but it's exhausting. I'll be recovering from this for days. I want to fit in, but sometimes I need to fit myself out. Just leave. Escape. I'm here where I need to be, where it's safe. It'll be okay. And maybe sometime in the future, it'll be easier.
I don't think you'd have known I was autistic until you put me in a birthday party setting. I practice conversations, so I'd practice what they might say to me, how I'd introduce myself, or how if they introduced themselves, what I'd say.
I consider facial expressions before I make them, because
Yeah, we'll do the first video one more time. Yeah, when we first turned this out, I saw him. First one, right? Yeah. You right, you all right? I'm right
This one. The balloons, yeah. They didn't see the first one, so we watched the first one. When you stand up, look at your hand, look all around so we can see all of it.
It's not loud.
Just wait there 1 minute. I'm just going to get a ticket, okay? breathe. That's it, just keep breathing, calming down. Okay. Okay, see everything's fine now? Yeah? Right, let's go home.
I'm not naughty. I'm autistic. And I just get too much information.
Let me just say this. Okay, so when we had the Abilities Fair on April 18th, we did simulations of all kinds of conditions that many of our members experience, and autism was one of them. And we had a VR station set up for the whole congregation as people came through to wear and privately, not in front of everybody, watch and experience. And so a couple of people today wanted to also try it out. So when this is over, I'll have my headset and Pat's headset. We can't do it with everybody, but if you want to get a little sample, you can try it out today. You can also just take your phone and go on YouTube, and they have VR simulations. It's not the same as having a headset, but you can look around with your phone and get an idea of a person's point of view. And these are just examples of what someone's autistic experience is like. Everyone doesn't experience things this way, but as a parent, it's really helpful to kind of give you an idea of what might be going on the inside.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about autism today. We've talked about causes. We've talked about ways that we can support autism in the congregation. We've talked about different things. We'd like to maybe right now open the floor to anyone that may have any questions about autism, maybe about the video we just saw, or anything that might be on your mind. I'll give everyone a minute or two. I should have had everyone write notes and quiz you all at the end. Any questions? Is that a hand mark? Sure, what you got, brother? Yeah, come up, you can come, that's fine. Yeah, not for everyone. I'll set to the side here.
I remember at very young age, you to have some specific skills. So he was able to draw a person with very big precision on every single thing. My question is, how should we handle this so the person could continue doing it or continue in his special skills? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I was saying to Jim earlier today that, so a lot of times with autism, a person may have we say laser focus on something, a particular skill or maybe detail that the rest of us don't have that. So if there are opportunities where they can help everyone else in that, like we were talking about sports, I think, there are some teams or some team activities where not everyone is going to have that particular attention to detail that that individual may have, and they can use that to help out with that. My own son Asa helps me with different things that I miss, little details like, if I'm in the kitchen, I had said this also, and I'm doing multiple things like forgetting to close the refrigerator maybe or whatever, Asa is there for the details all the time. So he's very helpful in that aspect.
Okay, so a very famous autistic woman, her name is Temple Grandin. Temple is a professional. She works with animal science, and one of her gifts is that she can visualize and draw anything. And because of that, she developed technology to help with animal care. And her encouragement to parents is whatever your child's special interest is, lean into it. So for example, if it's drawing, then you would add, let's say, art classes, maybe even look for that to be the career. You would support that in school. You want to accentuate all the positives. A lot of us are musicians, artists. Our sensitive sound makes us have precise hearing, which makes a lot of people that have autism, they are excellent musicians, they are artists. And let's say you can take something apart and put it back together, then you would lean into things like engineering, whether it's working on a car to actually like rocket design, like whatever the special interest is, that should be the career path. And in school, that can be the place where the person is demonstrating their strengths, their skills, their talents. And so the special interest is kind of a way of knowing kind of what this person's talent is and what they could go on to do as a career. And even if it's not, let's say not art, having a visual mind, some people, they're visual thinkers. You can use that skill in so many careers, from medical career, engineering career. A lot of people with autism are also gamers, coders. We're in science and technology and the arts really heavily. A lot of us work for the FBI. Why? Because like other neurological brain conditions, pattern recognition is a superpower for people that have autism. The presence of people with conditions like autism in the church, they provide so much talent and support. So pattern recognition is just recognizing different things that are repeating. So for example, FBI and the CIA use people that have pattern recognition to study things like behaviors of people to know if something is out of order. And so when it comes to how to cultivate and encourage your autistic child, that special interest is your pathway. So if it's art, then they get to take a lot of art classes. There are even therapies that use art to help strengthen the other areas that are struggling. So art classes, art club, art extracurricular, art interests, major or minor in college, art profession. So I would just say lean into it and use that as a way to support the things that they're weak in. So let's say I love art or I love music and I really have struggles talking to people. I'm going to use that art interest to help encourage the talking to people. So being in art club, help you to be social, using the art as not necessarily a reward, but as a motivation. So where there are weaknesses, the special interest is kind of your carrot. Like my child loves people. He is a social butterfly. And the biggest way to motivate him is to give him opportunities to be with people. And the biggest way to discipline him is to keep him away from people. So whatever the strength is, that's a way to also motivate the behaviors that are going to help and discourage the behaviors that hurt. I hope that that helped answer the question. Any other questions? Okay, Judy. Say it again, how can the what? Oh, adults.
Yeah.
There is no age limit on diagnoses. A lot of people, especially women, around perimenopause and menopause, a lot of them are getting diagnosed because certain things are more obvious when you're going through hormonal changes. So there is no age limit on when a person can be diagnosed. A lot of people are being diagnosed as adults, primarily because this knowledge and understanding is more available now. And a lot of people grew up not knowing that this is a condition that they also have. If you have an autistic child, you most likely have, and your own either parent has a tendency or a trait, and maybe we were raised very differently. So it's maybe not be obvious that some of these things are inherited from us. I learned that from working with my child. But either way, there is no age limit. You can be diagnosed today. Anybody else? Mm-hmm. Oh, praise God. Thank you, Sister. Brother Guillaume? I think that there are so many therapies. As they're learning about the connections, the mind, the body, the gut connection that contributes to so many of our brain conditions, there's a lot of hope. Autism is akin to Alzheimer's dementia. They're finding very similar realities that are happening as they're studying Alzheimer's. They're studying how it relates to, because it's really about the brain and how it's either misfiring or being rewired in a way that doesn't help us have a typical lifestyle. So stem cells can, if it's helping like gut issues, that can be very helpful. But the biggest thing is repetition. Having a supportive environment and repeatedly presenting that consistent support really helps people to grow and develop the skills that they need to be successful. Also, for children, the brain is already evolving, and if we have set up the things that will support their typical brain development, that will help them to also not outgrow, but also learn to add to their skills that people that aren't autistic are comfortable with. Sometimes we call that masking, where you're holding in all your uniqueness as an autistic person and presenting yourself as someone that doesn't want to stem or shake or sing to yourself. But so stem cells can have a very good impact in terms of helping things with, let's say, gut disorders. But neurological things have to do with the brain, and a lot of that is repetition. The brain is building new pathways all the time. Being exposed to new things, having consistent support, not isolating and not limiting. These are things that help challenge the brain and make it more flexible, like Maren said, having a cognitive ability to develop. All children do that, but with our kids, we need to actually maybe double it, having more exposure so that they aren't caught in these limiting patterns. So the more we put limits on our kids, the more we're actually chaining them to the limits of these conditions. The more we take the training wheels off and give them a lot of opportunity to explore a lot of different things, the brain develops a newness that helps them to have greater capability. So I don't think there's anything wrong with stem cells. I think that the research is everywhere now. And as we're looking to see what they come up with, the things that we know are helpful are still important. And so we don't have to wait on some newer technology. Some of the basic things that we're doing now have great impact on our kids. Anybody else have a question?
I wanted to know what the role of nutrition and some of the symptoms.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you want me to answer?
Yeah.
Okay. So last year, exactly this time, we had a nutrition and health event because that's one of the biggest areas that people on the spectrum struggle because of our gut health. And so what we learned is that, first of all, the brain, there are really two brains. You have a brain in your head and a brain in your belly. And what that means is that the brain in the stomach or the whole digestive system is always communicating with each other. And the more you help cultivate a healthy gut, the better it is for the gut and the brain to talk to each other. Some people with autism have food sensitivities because of either having a leaky gut or a gut that doesn't digest food properly. And by removing some of these foods that might irritate the gut, some symptoms are known to alleviate or disappear altogether. And so food and nutrition is really important. Another connection is with additives in foods. Food dyes and artificial flavors, they're not good for any of us. But for children on the spectrum in particular, artificial colors of food coloring, it's made from petroleum, gasoline. So artificial dyes, for some of our kids, and for some people that are sensitive, it can cause aggressive behavior. I'll give you a good example. When my son was a toddler, the special program would use rewards to help him do hard things. And one of the rewards was Skittles. Taste the rainbow. The rainbow was made of food dyes, and it had artificial colors. But we all used it. If he was, buttoning his, putting on his shirt, give him a Skittle. If he tried to write, writing is very hard. If he wrote, give him a Skittle. If he followed direction, we were giving him Skittles at home, at church, and he was getting them in school. And he was completely aggressive. He was hitting, kicking, biting, eloping, running away, and unable to sit still. And so a sister who learned about food colors and behavior said to me, I wonder if it's the Skittles. I bet you it's the Skittles, because of that red number 4, the food dyes, stopped giving him Skittles. So we found a natural candy, and we stopped giving him the Skittles. And in like 48 hours, most of the behavior stopped. So there are a lot of things that influence sometimes negative behavior. Food coloring, artificial flavors, a lot of junk food, processed food. They're not good for any child, but for children with autism, they can make a child have a difficult time managing their own behavior. So if your child is having a hard time with behavior, you want to look at what are they eating? Are they eating a lot of processed junk food? What's helpful are basic foods that come out of the ground, like fruits and vegetables. Now, let me just say this. Autistics generally have aversions to certain tastes of foods. Vegetables and fruits can be sometimes disgusting. Sometimes, for some people, disgusting food is because of some deficiencies, right? Like having a zinc deficiency or a magnesium deficiency. And when you correct that, they are able to tolerate eating a variety of foods. So there are also therapies where you can help with food, because, it is helpful to be able to eat a variety of things. But we learned that as we help correct our son's gut, well, first we got him evaluated. We went to a practitioner that tested his gut, did a blood test, a urine test, and a stool test. And after doing the test, we saw a bunch of things that were going on with his gut. He was lacking certain gut bacteria. And when we corrected those things, a lot of behaviors just went away. So there is a strong connection between autism and certain conditions and nutrition and food. But it is a case-by-case basis. You got to kind of know your child and try different things out. Most of us benefit from having fresh food, like fruits and vegetables, and home-cooked food and things like that, where you can control what additives you're putting in the food. That's better. But be very careful, because if your loved one has a small list of safe foods, you never take the safe food away. My child was eating 3 things: nuggets, macaroni and cheese, and French fries. These are like the holy grail. If you know, you know. Chicken nuggets, mac and cheese, and French fries. So, we were worried about his health because he was only eating chicken nuggets, macaroni and cheese, and French fries. And we were encouraged, keep those things and add to it. Never try to sneak things to your child to eat, because if these are safe foods and they trust it, they're getting nutrition from it. If they like, strawberry milk, you don't have to take it away. We were giving him a lot of juice and sodas, and so we started to learn how to find better things so that we could swap it out gently. Like, he used to live on Capri Suns. They were his safe food, and then we just learned how to, swap it out. So this is not you're not eating that and take it away. It's, okay, these are trusted, safe foods. Let's try to introduce other things, and you might need help doing it. So I don't want anybody to take away what's safe or be sneaky and try to sneak food to your child. They should always be aware and encouraged, because it's their health. So I want to say that, because I did all those things and it backfired. Don't be like me. Do it the right way and you get great results. I hope that answered the question.
Just really quickly, too, I want to just say that if a person has, that they do not have autism and only they have ADHD, again, the dyes, all that stuff, it's pretty bad. I'm a New York City teacher. These kids that I work with, unfortunately, they don't eat properly before they leave the house. They go to the bodega and they get stuff like Skittles and Takis that's loaded with red 40, blue number 5, and all that stuff. And you see the behavior almost immediately. So they do act aggressively depending on what it is that they eat. I saw Jim.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now, he has to be depending on these medications.
Mm.
And because of you, and the more he will eat. And then the more it's getting weaker, and it becomes a situation now where friends are putting in this for that.
Yeah.
So being parents, who in our shows, we are living, sometimes we're living in a hell.
Yeah. Nightmare. Yeah.
We try to assist, but when specialists, people we know that are really knowledgeable, and they told us that we have to wait until because when you want to see a change,
Yeah, God will help you. I don't like the 21 thing.
I know
like
why they
not,
said it.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I will say that, and I know that you guys already know. One of the things that that you will continue to do is you're going to have to continue watching everything. Like for us, we just didn't know how or what we could do to help. We questioned medicine. We weren't sure. So the more that we learn. Look at how he's responding to a bright surrounding, for example. And before I'm like, why is he exhibiting all these behaviors and this and that? But sometimes we have to really take stock and see what it is that's causing these behaviors to be the way that they are.
So I'll add this. When I don't know about in Brooklyn where you first got care for Hugh, but I would say out here, one of the things that was helpful is when you get a diagnosis, the first thing that we were offered, and I encourage all of us to take, is parent training. We are professionals. I'm a professional educator. My husband's a special ed teacher, but nothing prepared for us for when it was our child. Working in a public school or a professional school environment is not the same as working in a household with your child. So we needed parent training. And what the parent training did was it helped to recognize our family dynamic and how each of our roles in the family contribute to our child's behavior. I'll speak for us. We didn't understand Asa. I didn't get him. And so a lot of his behavior was as a result of being constantly left out. And so when we first were encouraged to do parent training, we learned about some of the therapies and supports. We got ABA at home, and the therapist that came in, she assessed our family dynamic, but she also recognized that Asa was, number one, aware of a lot more than I thought he was. Like, I literally thought he didn't understand English. I didn't know he understood anything we said. And because he didn't speak the way we did, we never really talked to him. We kind of talked around him. We talked to him like he didn't understand us. We didn't get it. And so one of the things she did was help us to understand who he was. And once we understood better what he was, we learned how to communicate with him better. But it took a lot of training on our part. First of all, we learned that language is very painful for him. Visuals are easier. So there's something called a PECS, a pictorial exchange communication system. A lot of people on the spectrum, they can speak, but they prefer to communicate visually with little pictures. I'm a yeller, and I'm loud, and that would completely like fry my kid. So I had to learn how to communicate better with him. I say this to say each family has their own little dynamic that's going on that contributes to some of the ways in which your child's behaving. They say in the community, all behavior is communication, even the meltdowns and the big behavior that motivate you to seek the help. It's not coming from nowhere. It could be biological, meaning gut, brain. It could also be emotional. It could be for having difficulty with communication. Medication is sometimes necessary, especially if you haven't figured out the triggers for the bigger behaviors. It is unsafe for our children, especially our boys, to be in environments where their behavior is unsafe. So it's not a bad thing if medication has helped. The same way that if your child is diabetic and they need insulin, the same way that if, you know, some of us are on hypertensive medications, sometimes medication is necessary, but I would see it as a stepping stone towards other interventions, so that he's not dependent on it. And different medications might need to be trialed if something is causing a negative adverse effect like weight gain or sleeplessness or having an increased appetite. We may have to explore alternative medications. As the science improves, better medications also exist. There are also medications that are used that are off-label. So something like a histamine blocker, which is used for allergies, might also be helpful for certain behaviors. I would say there are certain practitioners that are really good at helping. We went to an integrative, and that just means this person has a medical instruction, but also holistic and natural training. And we tried everything from prescriptions to what they call nutraceuticals, which are really high level of supplements. Like I said, we had the gut analyzed, we had blood analyzed, urine analyzed, and all that was important because we wanted to know what was going on. And so as you're looking at the negative impact of the prescription drugs, and it could be treating, let's say, an ADHD component. It could be treating a hormonal imbalance because, you know, our children are growing, and that 21 is because of the hormonal changes. Our children are constantly evolving from birth until 18 to 21. So the fluctuation of the hormones is probably why they gave you that date, the age, because our kids, just like all kids, they grow, they gain, and they regress. They gain just like other kids, but because of the extra conditions that they have, it makes that normal process more challenging. So it's not a bad thing if medication is helping him be able to have access to school environment, community environment, but it can be a stepping stone. He may not need to remain because he is still a child, but it also may be other things too. Having community. If being in an environment where you're not able to connect with people is causing frustration, then finding places where that's not happening really helps build our kids up. And you might find that some of the things that were causing you to be in a nightmare or hell, they might alleviate, because our kids are just people too. They want friends, they want relationships, they want to go places, you know, they don't want to be, you know, to the side, they want to be included. And a lot of times what we find in school and at home, that has a lot more to do with it. You know, how I see myself, how am I being spoken to? Are people seeing me as a part of the group, or do they want me to get away? Yes, their behaviors sometimes make it harder to do that, which is why we're trying to do this, because it's like both sides. The child needs some things that helps them be in the community, and we also as a community have to meet them where they are, because they are ours and they belong to us. And so I don't think that being medicated is a bad thing. It may also be a temporary thing, and there may be other medications that are not going to have the same side effect that the weight gain has. But when it comes to treating things that make a person safe, that is a higher priority for him, for you, and for everyone else. But it doesn't have to be the end all be all, you know. I know that the twins have a birthday coming up. Shout out to Hugh and his beautiful sister. Their birthday is coming up. So as they celebrate birthdays and grow, yes, they're evolving, but it's not a life sentence. I wouldn't see it as that. And it might be a good idea to look at other practitioners who can give you a more broader way of looking at how to help him. But it also helps him to know, listen, These are things that we have to work together on. A pill is not going to change your attitude if you are angry with everybody. I'm not saying that to you. I'm saying a lot of people, and I've worked with young people, they're not happy with the things that are going on, and that might also influence how they behave. We had to work with Asa and teach him how to regulate himself. I didn't know he could.
Yeah.
I didn't know he could. My limited thinking was he can't help it. And someone told me he absolutely can help it. He understands. So we were taught through parent training and through therapy how to help him help himself. And now, he still, of course, is a person that struggles, but he understands that in order to be in a community, he has to be safe. And if he's not safe, then he doesn't get to be with the community, period. And that's true for all of us. That's not just a special autism thing. But the more he learns how to have what he wants, it helps him to regulate. So, for example, when he feels himself getting upset, he removes himself and goes to calm down. He has learned that. He used to tear the whole place up, and all of us include. I mean, some of y'all have gotten bopped, hit, right?
Sorry.
But we had to learn how to help him, to help himself. And it wasn't on our own. We had a lot of help from the special needs community, from practitioners, from school, therapists. We tried it all. So that also might be an additional thing to seek, because he's a teenager, he's a young man, and the world doesn't care what his diagnosis is. But he needs to know that. Because as parents, we're not going to be everywhere. And they have to learn how to get along in the community with or without us. And if, let's say, behaving in a way that scares people is going to cause them to want to separate you, then you need to know if that's what you want for yourself. Because if not, the society's not going to be so kind. So medication is fine so that can be taught, but it's not the end-all, be-all. I mean, I hope that answers your question and encourages you. I know we're going on. Any other questions?
Correct.
Okay. So we can probably...
Maybe you can just give me information here. But, they had the doctor diagnosed their child with autism, Alonso. But the school is asking for like I don't know, some like a formal diagnosis with the level and the symptoms, whatever. And she's trying. They gave her some numbers. She can't get anywhere.
Okay.
They're giving her like way.
Yeah.
A place where
Yeah.
you can actually have a formal diagnosis for the child, because the school needs that.
Yeah.
For that. And he needs to be in a different class.
Yeah.
What he's on is not working for him.
Yeah.
So but they're asking for that. So you can.
Yeah. New York State requires early intervention support. It shouldn't come at a cost to families to have their children assessed. The reason why the school, each school district is different. It costs them money to assess our kids. Our school district paid for it, but our parents pushed for it. But there are ways in which to get the formal assessment, and once the school gets it, they get funding to pay for everything. But you need that piece of paper from a qualified professional that says this is a diagnosis. The pediatrician's assessment should be enough, but once they get that, the state gives them money to pay for the special class. We get door-to-door busing. Because ASIC is not able to ride the largest school bus. He gets door-to-door busing. He gets all kinds of support. He has a one-to-one aide in school. He's in a special class. And these are all things that have helped him flourish. So depending on the school district, but New York State requires early intervention. And so, yes, when we have lunch, we can share some of the resources. Some schools, though, are cheap, and they don't want to pay for the test. But when you get the test, they want the money, because once they have a special needs child, the state gives them extra funding.
That funding. I see that.
Yeah, our kids get almost double the per student budget, and that's a good thing for us, but it's also a challenging thing for schools, because it costs them twice as much to support our kids. But they also get it from our tax dollars, so enough of them. Anybody else have a question?
Anybody else? Questions? Preguntas? All right.
Okay, so you can wrap up.
We will get to wrapping. All right.
Do this first.
Okay, so if there's no more questions, we want to thank everybody for joining us today to learn about autism and how to support autistic people and their families here at church. If you would like to know more about the Harmony Ministry or how you can participate in events that we host, You can speak to members of the Harmony Ministry who are also in the Spanish and Haitian and English ministries. Brother Charlie Gomez, Zulimi, Juan, who I think is still here, Elodie, Nerland, or Marie in the Haitian ministry, or myself and Anu in the English ministry. You can also join our Special Needs Ministry message board on the Long Island Church of Christ LICOC app and look for our events posted around the church building. Now, we would like to give a special thanks to our brother Charlie Gomez and our sister Marie Barden for translating for us today. Thank you all.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Zulimi, for translating the slides into Spanish for us. Thank you, sis.
We did together.
She's like, what?
And for doing the tech in the back.
Thank you, my brother Patrick, Patrick Jules, our director of AV for tech support. He arranged for the translators' voices to be sent to the different locations so the presentation can be heard and understood in real time. And thank you to all the Harmony Ministry volunteers for supporting today's event, for the setup, childcare breakdown.
Lisa, Kizzy, Leah, they're in the back.
Shout out to you, sisters. The ministry does not function without you all, Sean. And special thank you to the Spanish ministry for providing the delicious food that we're about to enjoy. So let's just close out with a word of prayer. And yes, Asa. Asa's ready. He's had it. Okay. We're going to pray and bless the food. Dear Father in heaven, we thank you so very much, Lord, for just giving us tools of understanding how we can support one another with autism, Lord, how we can be able to understand what each of us are going through, to empathize with each other, Lord. Father, understand that there are strengths and tools, Lord, that you've blessed us with, Father. Lord, sometimes the world may see things as wrong, Lord, but you don't create wrong, Father, in us, Lord. You bless us, Father, with differences that we can learn from. Father, we thank you for, again, just being able to understand those differences and how they are definitely useful, how we can learn from one another, how we can serve the kingdom, Lord. And I just pray that we would continue to learn in ways that we can even teach your word, share your word, Father, with those that may be autistic, those that are not, Lord. But we thank you for this opportunity that we can discuss these things openly with each other, Father. We pray that no one here would feel bad or ashamed or like there's something wrong if they know they have autism in their family or themselves, Lord. And we want them also to know that in your body, in the body of Jesus, they are definitely welcome and will be loved, cared for, and supported here, Father. Lord, we thank you for this fellowship, for all the hands that went into today, preparing today, Father, the event today at the building, Lord. We thank you for the hands that were preparing the food today, Lord. We thank you for that, and we pray that you would bless the food before us, Lord, make it good for us to eat, Father. We pray that as we get together in fellowship and eat, that we can discuss the things we heard today, Lord, and how you continue to bless us, Father, and all of our families, Lord. We pray for all the ministries that work together today, Father, that we may continue to do your work and go out and make disciples and build up those that are in the church in these ministries, Lord. Father, we thank you for your son, Jesus. It is through him that we pray this prayer and give thanks. Amen. All right, and we say thank you all for coming. Yes.